Molweni bethenana molweni. I am Unowisambekela from Aspire Youth Organization, an organization that strives to empower and create platforms of recognition. Namhlanje ndihle noSiviwe. Unjani siswam?
Ndiyaphila njani wena?
Ndiyaphila nami awusemhle.
Enkosi. Mhle nawe.
Enkosi sanga sami. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, guys, we are welcoming India's nice, abantu nice. Siviwe, tell me more about yourself.
Okay, Siviwe is a 25-year-old, female of course, from KwaZakele. I am an HR coordinator for, I'm not gonna mention, and I basically also run business, a side business. I'm also looking into running a few businesses in the next year or two. That's Siviwe.
I know Siviwe is a soon-to-be mother.
Yes.
But that's very important.
Congratulations.
Very important. Siviwe, you mentioned you are an HR coordinator.
Yes.
I think the basis of our conversation is mainly on that. Kunzima, we are living in a world with unemployment. We are living in a world of we don't have knowledge enough. We don't have enough resources for Manum Sebens or knowing how to maneuver in the house of Manum Sebens or getting those placements in Sebenzin. So tell me, how was it when from you going from tertiary, going into the workspace? How was the transition?
Well, I wouldn't say there was a transition that much because during my time of studying, I was also working, right? So I had to juggle between the two things. And I must say it was really challenging. But you know what, when you goal-oriented and you know what you want in life, you always stick to your plan. And for me, it really helped me as what I was studying for was where you need to familiarize yourself, with the workplace, with different types of people, group dynamics, and all those things. So it was so easy for me to adapt to the working life and also studying at the very same time. Then by the time that I actually went into what I studied for, I would say it was easy again because I already was familiar with the workplace. I was already familiar with how to work with different kinds of people. But now the only difference was that you basically get to be in more of a leadership role. And sometimes leader abantu abadala nawe wena whilst when you're very young. So the transition from that role or from that position where I had to move over and I'm done with school and I'm actually going to work into industry that I actually studied for. It was difficult, I would say. At the very same time, it was easy, as I said, but the difficulty was where I had to move over to more of a leadership position where I have to lead people. But the transition, yes, it was, as I said, it was challenging, but at the very same time, it wasn't that bad.
Did you always know about Ofuna Okwenza, the HR coordination?
I always knew that I want to work with people, right? And for me, I think the mistake that I had in my mind was that being in HR, you hire, you fire, right? And once I got into varsity, you get to learn different things, when some modules it needs and all those things. And that at that stage, it didn't make sense to me, right? But as soon as I walked into like an internship role, and then I was offered the HR coordinator role, and in my mind, I could actually see that HR is actually broad, you know? You see yourself being a parent, you see yourself actually becoming a mentor to people, you know, and part of you as a person is that you always need to be kind to people at work, because at the end of the day, lamdu, you do not know about uze nengagetini namhlanje, you know, and you always need to be approachable because HR is basically the middleman.
Yes.
And if ever there's conflict, you need to be the middleman. You need to stand in the middle and listen to both of the stories. But how is one going to approach you if ever abakwazi, like they don't see you as undu ofikelelekayo? So for me, it was that. It was also where you see yourself as, did I say parent? Yes, I did. Did I say mentor? Yes, I did. It was also seeing yourself as a change agent. There's nothing that feels good when you are speaking to someone and you can see balondu they're faced with challenges, in their life, and you get to be la light bulb moment to them. You get to provide la aha moment to them. So those things, it really does make a difference. And I think that's what makes me think back that actually what I chose is actually the right career, because I always wanted to work with people, but for me it was more like, okay, but even the firing part, that's actually the most difficult thing to do. But what is the best thing about HR is that you get to be a problem solver. You get to help people. You get to how can I put it? You get to be a mentor. I wouldn't say that you get to have people look up to you, but you get to be a mentor, and I think that's the nice thing about it, is that people can always come to you. Sometimes you won't have the solution ASAP or immediately, but the mere fact that people see you as umdu that they can come to and they feel safe is the most how can I put it, something that makes you so grateful, yeah.
I just got schooled. I honestly thought HR, you hire, you fire.
Yeah, me too.
That's it. You do the paperwork. I know. So there's a lot going on. Okay, now I feel for HR people.
Yeah, actually.
I feel for y'all. I feel for y'all. I honestly thought it hasn't done. But my HR, man, they are just uptight.
Yeah.
But now that you mention it, and now that I've seen you and I've spoken with you, I understand. I shouldn't right. Sorry. Sorry. But and thank you for those things, because again, without HR, so yeah, thank you so much. So you always knew about abantu. I want to know, is there a difference between being an HR consultant, if there is a consultant, and a coordinator?
HR consultant, actually, consultancy, HR coordinator is basically umbrella of everything in HR, because you have to wear all the hats. You're a recruiter, you're a consultant. As I said, you're a middleman. You basically, if ever you have to do labor relations. You have to be the admin work. So you basically, role is basically an umbrella of all the HR functions. And I think that's also one of the things that I would say I enjoy about my job, is that each and every day it's different, it's unpredictable. I don't know, but what am I going to be faced with? Am I going to wear the recruitment hat? Am I going to be a consultant? So for me, HR consultancy, it will fall under the umbrella of HR coordinator, because you're coordinator everything basically.
Okay, cool. If you do not get that, go back and listen again, because I thought I didn't know the difference. I didn't even know why don't coordinate of HR. So now I understand. Now I know. Thank you about that. Thank you for that. Siviwe, as much as we are living in this world of unemployment, we have a rate that is so high of unemployment, especially in the Eastern Cape. And sifake CV zethu singeze singabayana bafake CV za ngo-1960 something leyana race nton. So I want to know, what are the dynamics of writing your CV, and is there an advantage, is there a need to have a cover letter? So first let's go to the cover letter, and then we go back to look at the dynamics of writing a CV.
So with e-cover letter, right, and this is how I would perceive it. Yes, e-cover letter, it's actually something that could be a value-added benefit onto a CV, right? Because that is where a recruiter actually reads through it and they get to know you as a person. Hence I say sometimes also a cover letter has got a disadvantage, because if you lie, we'll catch you out. So, and how do we catch you out is because we as things like a cover letter, right? This is what you're saying, this is who you are. And then once I read through it, and obviously I'll want to get to meet you. Once I get to meet you, I'd like you to go into into your cover letter. So go into depth with it. And obviously if you can't, then there is something that's missing, right? So yeah, for me, I would say that cover letter, if ever the position itself it actually states that you need to attach a cover letter to it, then do that. But also, if you would like for any job that you're applying for, that ufune attach a cover letter, that you can also do. Again, it's a value added benefit onto you getting employable. And then CV dynamics, okay. Apart from is spelling. Yeah, and you know what, for me that actually I wouldn't say that it is a bad thing, right? But I would normally like think back, because I always, if ever I see a spelling error, I would look at the age. And shame CTR who do not pay attention to detail. But yeah, so CV dynamics, apart from spelling errors, I would say also format your CV yako, because also you don't have, and I mean Goku, we're living in a time where technology is growing, you know, it's evolving each and every day, and we try and create izinto that make things easier for us, right? So for instance, isn't this one of my paper more 10 pages, guys? We are over that time, honestly. We are more into where city summarize something for me, you know, just give me a summary of who you are. So sometimes you'd get that you get 10-page CVs, which is not a problem. But for recruiters like myself, you know, like young recruiters, Tina, we are very fast, our eye is very fast. If ever this is the job that we are looking for, this is the person that we're looking for, and we want you to be available in the job market, as is 10 pages, we're actually going to go to what are you currently doing? Are you actually available, you know? And do you have the skills or the experience that we're looking for? So you'd find that like CV, especially as youth, and I have to hammer on us seeing abandabacha that you'd find that ECVs they are missing a lot of information, but at the very same time, 10 pages. So then in your mind you are thinking, why should I spend so much time looking at ECV Gaton instead of looking at ECV CV, which is more detailed. It basically provides you a summary, and it also sells Siviwe herself, you know, and it's a one pager. But this is we got on 10 pages, and short. You don't even know about Udon Goga Befundisa, Befunsapi, which year for how long, you know. So yeah, the little things that we think that they are not important, like for instance, date of birth, it actually is important. To know that unayo Facebook account, unayo LinkedIn account, that is important. Cell phone number yako, why put it at the bottom instead of putting it on top? Because if ever we are looking for someone and we are literally in a hurry and we're looking for someone ASAP, we can't look at ECV. I can look for your number. We obviously want to find it. We want to find the easiest way in finding your cell phone number. If ayiko phayana,
darling,
that's the risk. So these CV dynamics that you would actually get to be faced with, and I don't think Ulucha actually understands that, because the CV, especially if you are a job seeker, you need to sell yourself. Because remember, we haven't seen you in person, and CV is the only thing that gets to speak volume for you, right? And if it doesn't, then unfortunately you don't get to be employable. So with that being said, I then also started, I'm a very creative person.
Good.
I then identified a business idea, but how about I just go into CV design and also consultation, where people can come to me and they can consult and say, hey, how does my CV look? I already have the people that actually approach me, and those are the guys that I went to a varsity with, and they have approached me and they're like, okay, just look at my CV before I put it on Opinet, before I put it on LinkedIn, just check it out. Now, normally check it out for them, like, okay, change that, and make it look like this, you know? And yeah, it's been working out well, I think, because even the feedback that I would receive that, hey, you know what, thank you so much, because this is what I received in Goku Nendoni. So I actually thought that how about I actually start out my own consulting firm or design, where I actually design CVs for people, and I also actually consult with them. And yeah, and my target market at the moment was to just look at the youth, the children, not the children. Because what that? I mean, 18 years old, you are old. You are old enough. But where I basically look at the youth and I help them out with this CV Zabo. So it is up and coming. And at the moment, I actually want to provide it as a free service instead of a paid service, so that I can actually get more clientele if it ends up for free and people can get to see my work. Then afterwards, they then can come back and I can actually say pay.
Ooh, that is beautiful. I mean, doing something for free.
Yes.
You are more than qualified for this. And we are in because we want to get people employable.
Yeah.
In fact, aspire. I need to be employed too. So I mean, I'm like, light bulbs. I have one question.
Yes.
Is it safe to say, Uguti, Basilu Don has this vast experience, and I am only applying to be a consultant, I'm a city events consultant, and I've got experience in admin, I've got experience in driving, I've got experience in most things. Is it advisable to put everything in there that is not even in relation to what the job is, or how would you advise me on that?
Everything in there, darling. Because the more experience that you have, the better chances of you being employed. And for me, honestly, especially in this time, because you get people that would go and study, right, who would go and further their studies, and they graduate and they get good marks, and then you can't get any job because you don't have any experience. And I think there's on topics that are very sensitive, even on LinkedIn. If ever I'm logged on LinkedIn and I check out the current topics that they are speaking about, we HR agendas, they always speak about that. That why sizafunda for so long, and then when you're looking for employment, and HR or recruiters will say out there, we actually need you to have more experience. So when look for experience, hey, type experience if you guys don't give us that opportunity, right? But it is the reality of things, because you still have, if ever on a qualification in varsity, that for us is theoretical, but we would still like you to have it practical. And there is stories out there, successful stories, where we employ a umdu who doesn't have any experience and they do very well, exceptionally well. And also where we employ a umdu who actually just has the minimum qualification, but they've got vast experience, and they still do very well. So for me, on those topics, it's actually a 50-50 percent. It's like a balance for me, because it also depends at that time about what is the need, what is the type of person that you're talking about. I'm actually derailing the whole topic. Sorry. Back to your question. So yeah, include everything, man. Include everything. But as I said, provide a summary. Because also, as much as we include everything, the only thing that the things that you need to include is basically your job role. What were you doing there? We ends up in start date, end date, a list or bullet point of all the things that you did in that role, right? So include every experience that you have. And sometimes it is nice, and this is a tip. It is actually nice to have ECV into a more timeline based, where you actually, and I think that's the in thing now, but eBay timeline, where you show Gogo, this is where I am, right? And you put your current position right on top. And then as Zanzi, because we're just giving a timeline, but okay, before here, I was actually here. Before that place, I was actually here. And this is what I was doing from this time frame, or from this start date to this end date. So yeah, put everything, but try and summarize it as much as you can. Ungathathi yonke la job description uyifumana pha uyifake and copy and paste it. Just try and summarize.
If you don't know what a job timeline is, just like me, stick around and contact Siviwe, because I really want to know my job timeline. I want to know, but we will not go into that. Siviwe is just here to all more about his news, and we are leaving Elan contact details so that you can go and check a timeline. You mentioned, Guti, you are going into a business venture, for CV writing, for consulting, for everything. Let's go into that and more. If there's something even more,
Yeah. So as I said, I'm a very creative person. Who just wakes up, I'm like, oh, actually that wouldn't be a bad idea. And for me, my ideas were always boxed you know, because when you have an idea, you don't know where to start. You don't know who to contact, you know, you don't know what you need. Do you need to go and study for this thing, or do you just need to just suck as knees and out of your thumb and you'll be good, you know? So a part of me working, I'm also doing like a 1-year course, which is through my employer at PMI. And that course, I would say that so far it has been so good, because modules in this now I get to actually apply it into my everyday life or even at work. And one other module that we did was business management and entrepreneurship, and that is where we were taught how to do a business plan. And that time I was actually doing my side business, selling meat.
Okay.
So I do have a sideliner where I actually call it the Meat Combo Originals, and I sell meat and I sell chicken, it's Xhosa. Meaty bones, and also lunch combos, right? So with that, I then decided to, because we had an assignment and we were told that we need to do a business plan of any business that we're trying to look into, and I was like, you know what, actually I have a sideliner, so how about I put a sideliner, I'm into writing. And I did that, and it went very well. And that's when I actually started to teach myself that actually, if ever I want to start something, how about I actually do a test and test it out and see if it's going to work out. And maybe one of the things that I need to do is to have a business plan, just to draft as a business plan and see if it's actually going to be a success. So after I did the business plan with the meat business, then I started with the CV, and I saw actually this could be an opportunity that I can grab with both of my hands and become a success. And then also I was so interested into beadwork, into this Xhosa, like necklaces, is Xhosa, and all those things. I was really interested in that, and I was like, I actually want to acquire the skill. But in my mind, I was thinking, if ever I acquire it, am I just going to do it as a hobby, or do I actually want to venture more into it? So then I'm also
Going in there
to design like traditional necklaces for ladies, or for indoors as Xhosa, for traditional stuff. And
ininzi into yenzayo ininzi, and I pray ukuba uyonke into iphumelele yonke into. You mentioned, now that you mentioned ukuthi there's a business ecaleni, I want to know, this is I think wonke umntu, or who's actually looking for a professional job, abe esenza into ecaleni, how does it play off dikhayela umsebenzi, for instance, dikhayela umsebenzi, and I'm doing these things on the side, and now andifuna uzibeka on the actual CV itself, so I add iphepha ecaleni or an attachment, this is what I'm doing, this is what I did, okanye these are my roles and everything. So they call it a profile, I think. So is that feasible to getting umsebenzi? Is it advisable to add what you were doing on the side? Is it advisable to just make it ecaleni, don't even add it, and then or fake easy? But city, you were working at a company for 5 years, but in that 5 years you also did a lot of things on the side, so it's also an experience. So is it advisable to do that, or just leave it at the 5 years?
So on your CV itself, you would normally have like your skills and your hobbies and your interests. So that is where I think you would actually put it, if it's not a registered business where this is your day-to-day thing. Because also, if ever you're running a business and you're looking for maybe a job apart from the business that you are running, then obviously you need to look for a job that is going to be in alignment with that's going to make things flexible for you as well. So you can't look for an 8 to 5 job was, that your business is also runs on a 24 or 8 to 5 basis. To get my point, you need to find something that, if ever Lena, it's actually freelancing for me, and I'm actually looking for more of a serious thing where it's 8 to 5, then balance the two. But then if it's not registered and it's like a sideline, like with my business, then you can include it into izinto that you are currently doing, that you are currently interested in, or a hobby, and say that I'm actually running my business when I'm actually not at work. This is what I'm actually doing. And it's also a skill, if you think about it, because if you become an entrepreneur, it's a skill that you've acquired, right? So you can put a part of your skills, part of your interest, part of your hobbies, running your business on a weekly, on a weekend basis, or when you are actually not at work, this is what you were doing. So you can add it there, or you can even add it on your cover letter. Even much nice if mhlambi uhleli in an interview and they try to get to know you as a person, you can even add it there as you're actually running a business as well.
So there you have it, guys. if Khailum Sebens are doing something on the side, add a skill, a hobby, or a cover letter. Make it a point, but it's something in there. So
If you want to, yes.
If you want to, because it's always optional. What are the future plans? You mentioned about you going into a business, consulting. I'm gonna say it's already running because you've already have clients. You do the mid business. What you also going into bid work. What are the next steps? What are you gonna do now?
Yeah, right now, apart from that, I think you already listed it for me. Because no, I just need to have it and run it and to just register both of these businesses because I'd really like to venture into that. And yeah, lifetime plan though is to become the best mommy ever.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, what are my plans? My plans is to basically I think it is to just grow into the HR industry, and I must say I really love what I'm doing, and there's nothing that is just heartwarming to know that you are doing something that you love and you actually still want to grow into it, you know. And I always say to myself when I look at myself at the mirror that, girl, you're an HR guru, and that is where I see myself. That is my plan, is to grow into this industry. It is to be able to run my businesses as well. And and to become
the best mommy
or the best person that I can be.
That is so good.
Yeah.
I wish we had time because I have so many questions. Different more about, especially these HR industries, with the businesses too. But time is not on our side. But thank you for joining us. Lastly, there's someone who's out there who doesn't even know and they try and look for a job. He left already. What would you say to that person who's trying to make it in life?
What I would say to that person is that you know what, you just need to have goals, and if you have your goals in plan, you just need to make sure that you achieve those goals. For me, have a checklist if needs be, right? And tell yourself, this is what I want to do. Even if it's a lifetime checklist, even if it's a daily checklist, have that checklist and always be able to go back to it and review it and check it out and see, have I done this? Have I done that? And sometimes in life, as much as we speak things out and we make it seem as if it's easy, it's actually not. But what I had for myself, I've always reminded myself that, you know what, Siviwe, this is the plan, this is where you need to go, and as difficult as it is now, but it really will all be worth it. So with that being said, push through, man. If ever you're looking for work, you can come to me, you can consult for your CV, but also try and look for jobs that fall within job spec within skills that you have acquired. And also don't give up. Hey, you don't give up in life. That's just a no-go zone, because if ever you give up, nobody else is going to actually lift you up. You can try by all means, but if you don't have that inner soul in you to actually uplift yourself, then nobody else can. And lastly, with my personal mantra is that basically everything, right? You were strong, you were beautiful, and you are intellectual, and you deserve everything and anything that the universe has to offer. That is good though. Okay.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Checklist. Have a checklist.
Yes.
Have a checklist. I got that. Have a checklist and don't give up. That is beautiful. And if you're looking for consulting, please, Siviwe is here at your service. It's free. It is free. Yeah, for now. For now. But thank you so much. It was lovely having you here.
Thanks for having me.
For someone ofuna okangela, they might come to Aspire, which is great, but if they want to come to you personally or speak to you in person or have a call, how can they find you?
Well, for now, you can find me on my LinkedIn profile, Siviwe Mbozana. It's as easy as that, nothing fancy. Again, Siviwe Mbozana, and I am always active on LinkedIn. I do have a Facebook page, but rather you go to my LinkedIn profile, which is Siviwe Mbozana.
Thank you, kakhulu sister. And that was Siviwe Mbozana, who is an HR coordinator. Among other things, you're an entrepreneur and a business person. So thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for coming in. Please do subscribe and please do like. From me and Aspire, it is goodbye.